Cold PVC bending tools are designed to bend PVC pipe without the need for heating. This involves inserting a spring into the pipe and then bending it, either over a form or with an electrical metallic tubing end bender. So, does it actually work? Yes, cold PVC bending tools can indeed be effective for bending PVC pipe without applying heat. However, there are several important factors to consider. Firstly, limits. Cold bending is generally best suited for smaller diameter PVC pipes, typically those up to 1 inch, and for bends that are relatively shallow. Secondly, PVC type. Not all types of PVC are suitable for cold bending. Schedule 40 and Schedule 80 PVC are the types most commonly used for this purpose. Thirdly, spring. The spring used must be the correct size and shape for the specific PVC pipe you are working with. Using a spring that is not properly matched can potentially damage the pipe. Fourthly, technique. Proper technique is absolutely essential to prevent kinks or breaks from occurring in the pipe during the bending process. Now let's go over the steps involved in using cold PVC bending tools. 1. Insert the spring carefully into the PVC pipe. 2. Bend the pipe, either over your knee or using an EMT bender, depending on the desired bend and setup. 3. As you bend the pipe, continuously slide the spring along to maintain an even curvature and prevent distortions. There are several advantages to using cold PVC bending tools. 1. There is no need for heat, which eliminates the risk of burning or melting the pipe. 2. It can be used on smaller diameter pipes and for tighter bends compared to heat bending methods. 3. The tools are typically portable and convenient to use. However, there are also disadvantages. 1. As mentioned earlier, it is limited to smaller diameter pipes and shallower bends. 2. It requires precision and skill to avoid damaging the pipe. 3. It may not be suitable for certain types of PVC or for heavy-duty applications. In conclusion, cold PVC bending tools can be an effective method for bending small diameter PVC pipes without the need for heating. However, it is crucial to use the proper technique and to select the appropriate spring and PVC type to ensure successful and damage-free results. Using a spring bender involves selecting the right size for your conduit. Insert it carefully, ensuring it sits snugly inside without excessive force. Apply steady, even pressure while bending, avoiding abrupt movements that could cause kinks. After bending, remove the spring by twisting and pulling it out, and inspect the conduit for any deformities. For hot box bending, heat the PVC evenly until pliable, then quickly shape it using forms or freehand. Maintain even pressure to prevent thin spots or cracks, and allow it to cool completely before removing the form. Overheating can weaken the PVC, so control the temperature carefully. Using an electrical metallic tubing bender requires securing the conduit properly in the bender, aligning your marks accurately. Apply steady, controlled pressure, and use multiple passes for gradual bending. Avoid overbending, which can flatten the conduit. After bending, check the angle with a protractor and make any necessary adjustments. A kick is a bend that changes direction and then returns to parallel. To make one with a mechanical bender, measure and mark where the kick will start and end. Use the bender to make a small bend at the first mark, then reposition the conduit and bend it back to parallel at the second mark. Precision in marking and bending ensures the conduit remains aligned. An offset is 2 kicks made close together to move the conduit around an obstruction. Measure the distance needed to clear the obstruction and the desired offset angle. Bend the first kick, then measure and bend the second kick in the opposite direction. Accuracy is essential to maintain alignment and clearance. A saddle bend is used to navigate around an obstruction involving 4 bends. Start by making a center bend, then create 2 matching bends on either side to lift the conduit over the obstruction. Finish with a 4th bend to return the conduit to its original plane. Consistent angles and measurements are crucial for a symmetrical and functional saddle bend. Segment bending involves creating a large radius bend by making a series of small, incremental bends. Calculate the bend radius and divide it into segments. Make each bend gradually and consistently to achieve a smooth curved result. This method is ideal for creating bends that exceed the limitations of standard bending tools. When bending larger sizes of PVC conduit, support the conduit adequately to prevent sagging or deformation. Use larger benders or hydraulic equipment to provide the necessary force. Heat blankets can help to uniformly soften the PVC, reducing the risk of cracking or kinking. Always follow safety guidelines and wear appropriate protective gear. For underground installations, ensure the PVC conduit is rated for direct burial and protected from physical damage. Use proper fittings and couplings to maintain a watertight seal. Backfill with suitable materials to prevent stress on the conduit. Adhere to local electrical codes and regulations for underground installations. Expansion couplings are essential in long runs of PVC conduit to accommodate thermal expansion and contraction. Install them at intervals specified by the manufacturer and local codes. These couplings allow the conduit to move without putting stress on connections or supports. When running PVC conduit in exposed locations, protect it from direct sunlight and extreme temperatures. Use UV-resistant conduit and coatings to prevent degradation. Provide adequate support to prevent sagging or displacement due to environmental factors. Ensure the installation complies with all applicable codes and standards. Support the conduit properly using straps, clamps, or hangers. Space the supports according to code requirements and the manufacturer's recommendations. Use appropriate hardware for the mounting surface to ensure a secure and stable installation. Check the installation regularly and make any necessary adjustments. When connecting PVC conduit to metal enclosures, use appropriate transition fittings to maintain grounding continuity. Ensure the fitting is properly bonded to the enclosure and that all connections are tight and secure. Follow all applicable electrical codes and standards for grounding and bonding. Inspect the connections regularly to ensure they remain intact. When installing PVC conduit in concrete, protect it from damage during the pour. Use a concrete vibrator carefully to avoid displacing or crushing the conduit. Ensure the conduit is adequately supported and secured to prevent movement. After the concrete has cured, inspect the conduit for any damage and make any necessary repairs. For installations in hazardous locations, use PVC conduit and fittings that are specifically rated for the environment. Follow all applicable codes and standards for hazardous location wiring. Ensure all connections are properly sealed to prevent the ingress of flammable gases or vapors. Inspect the installation regularly and maintain it in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendations. When working with PVC conduit, always wear appropriate personal protective equipment, including safety glasses, gloves, and a dust mask. Work in a well-ventilated area to avoid inhaling fumes from cutting or heating PVC. Follow all safety guidelines and precautions to prevent accidents and injuries. Never exceed the manufacturer's recommended bending radius for PVC conduit. Overbending can weaken the conduit and cause it to crack or break. Use a bending guide or template to ensure consistent and accurate bends. Inspect the conduit after bending for any signs of damage. When cutting PVC conduit, use a fine-toothed saw or a specialized PVC cutter. Make clean, square cuts to ensure proper fitting and sealing. Taper the cut ends of the conduit to remove any sharp edges or burrs. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from flying debris. When joining PVC conduit, use a PVC primer and cement specifically designed for electrical applications. Apply the primer to both surfaces to be joined and allow it to dry completely. Then apply the cement to both surfaces and quickly assemble the joint. Hold the joint firmly in place for several seconds to allow the cement to set. Wipe away any excess cement with a clean cloth. Allow the joint to cure completely before putting it into service. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions for using PVC primer and cement. When installing PVC conduit in cold weather, take extra precautions to prevent cracking or breaking. Warm the conduit before bending or cutting it. Use a heat gun or wrap it in a heating blanket. Avoid dropping or striking the conduit as it is more brittle when cold. Use flexible couplings to accommodate movement due to temperature changes. When installing PVC conduit in hot weather, take precautions to prevent sagging or deformation. Store the conduit in a shaded area to keep it cool. Support the conduit adequately to prevent it from sagging. Use expansion couplings to accommodate thermal expansion. When pulling wires through PVC conduit, use a wire pulling lubricant to reduce friction. Ensure the conduit is clean and free of debris. Use a wire pulling grip to protect the wires from damage. Pull the wires smoothly and evenly to avoid stretching or breaking them. Do not exceed the maximum fill capacity of the conduit. When terminating wires and PVC boxes, use connectors that are specifically designed for use with PVC conduit. Ensure the connectors are properly sized for the conduit and the wires. Tighten the connectors securely to provide a good electrical connection. Inspect the connections regularly to ensure they remain tight. When grounding equipment to PVC conduit, use a grounding bushing that is listed for use with PVC conduit. Connect the grounding conductor to the grounding bushing and the equipment grounding terminal. Ensure the grounding connection is tight and secure. Follow all applicable electrical codes and standards for grounding and bonding. When installing PVC conduit in wet locations, use watertight fittings and seals to prevent moisture from entering the conduit. Slope the conduit to allow water to drain away from the enclosure. Use sweep holes to allow any accumulated water to escape. Inspect the installation regularly to ensure it remains watertight. When installing PVC conduit in corrosive environments, use PVC conduit and fittings that are specifically designed for use in corrosive environments. Coat the conduit and fittings with a corrosion-resistant coating. Use stainless steel hardware to prevent corrosion. Inspect the installation regularly to ensure it remains protected from corrosion. When installing PVC conduit in areas subject to physical damage, protect the conduit with a metal sleeve or guard. Use rigid metal conduit or intermediate metal conduit for added protection. Ensure the protective measures are properly grounded. Inspect the installation regularly to ensure it remains protected from damage. When repairing damaged PVC conduit, use a PVC coupling or fitting to splice the conduit. Clean the damaged ends of the conduit and apply PVC primer and cement. Slide the coupling or fitting over the damaged ends of the conduit and hold it in place until the cement sets. Allow the repair to cure completely before putting it into service. If the damage is extensive, replace the entire section of conduit. When removing PVC conduit, cut the conduit into manageable sections. Use a saw or a PVC cutter. Dispose of the PVC conduit properly. Do not burn PVC conduit as it releases toxic fumes. When storing PVC conduit, store it in a dry, shaded area. Protect it from direct sunlight and extreme temperature. Support the conduit to prevent sagging or deformation. Stack the conduit neatly to prevent it from falling. Keep the conduit clean and free of debris. Always follow the manufacturer's recommendations for storing PVC conduit. When working with PVC conduit, always be aware of the potential hazards and take precautions to prevent accidents. Work safely and responsibly to protect yourself and others. Follow all applicable codes and standards. Consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Using the correct tools and techniques for bending, cutting, joining, and installing PVC conduit is essential for ensuring a safe and reliable electrical system. By following these guidelines, you can achieve professional results and avoid costly mistakes. Remember to always prioritize safety and adhere to all applicable codes and standards.